Okay, next question.
You talk about these roles almost in a way, what one would say is someone's like born into.
Yes.
It's almost. Do you believe that to be the case?
Of course. I really do. I think a lot of it has been blurred by the way people are brought up. But you can't take a submissive and make them a dominant, and not 24 hours a day. I know submissives that in day-to-day life, in jobs and things like that, they have to act the dominant part because their positions may require it. And yet they can't wait to cast off that thing to get back to who they are. And it's very hard for a dominant personality, though, to take a back seat to. They don't have the ability to try to switch roles as well as a submissive can. We just have a hard time turning it off. If we're at work, we want to be the ones making decisions and things as such. But I do believe people are born with these characteristics. They just get blurred. When I train people, it's my job to help them come to, because I have come across people who thought they were dominant, find out they're really not, that they are submissive, but they have, especially males, they are brought up, males are supposed to be strong, males are supposed to be a certain way, and then when they find out they're not, it really bothers them at first. It's like, well, this isn't how I was raised, but are you comfortable with it? Well, yeah, but it takes a long time. So many things about this. One of the hardest things I ever had to get over, one of the humps I had to go over, was the first time I hit somebody with a flogger. You're not supposed to hit a woman. And then I came to the realization it isn't a bad thing. I mean, people have sex all the time where somebody may, you know, take their fingernails and dig them a little bit. Hey, when you're aroused, that feels good. If you went up to a stranger and did that, they'd probably slap your face, but it's a whole different circumstance, in the same way with things that we do.
Talk about that situation where you bring that aspect in. Where's kind of the level between how much is too much?
Well, that's a hard one, only because each person is different.
Because you talk about the line between, you know, what it is and when it becomes abuse.
Before I do anything to anybody, and this is one of the hardest things to do, you got to spend time knowing them. Because you got to start, the communication's so important in this lifestyle, even with somebody that you're never, especially with somebody you've never touched before. You got to have that communication beforehand. You have to have an idea of what they've done, what they haven't done, and then you take it slow and easy to start with. I mean, you may not even, you take a flogger to somebody the first time, you may not hit him, you may just drag it along them, just so they get the feel of it. You always got to be aware of the person that you're with, because otherwise it's a very fine line between what we do and what abuse is. Abuse where you're going to permanently damage somebody, that, to me, that's unacceptable. This is supposed to be enjoyable. And the time it crosses that line where it's no longer enjoyable, that's abuse.
We talked about before about how these people get into this as a way to exercise that part of themselves in some way, and they shouldn't be.
Right.
Have you come across these people, and what's sort of your reaction?
I have come across these sort of people that really shouldn't be in this lifestyle. I will spend numerous hours talking to these people. I won't play with them, I will talk to them. I will encourage them to talk to the right people. Some listen, some don't. Some just feel that This is the way I'm supposed to be. This is the way I've always been, and it makes it very difficult. It's in a lot of ways, it's like telling an alcoholic that they're an alcoholic. If they don't want to listen, they won't.
One thing that's interesting with some of the people that I've talked to is that we'll say there's a mental aspect to it that is sort of beyond sexual, that is not sexual, but in terms kind of dovetails with it.
Mm-hmm.
What's kind of your take on that?
Oh, I agree with that tremendously. A lot of what I do isn't sexual in nature. It is fulfilling emotional needs. I personally, I prefer it that way. It's if it was just sexual, I think I'm just a whore then. But people come to me, they want to learn, but they want to have the attachment, they want to have the closeness, they want to have the emotional bonds. And there's many times I'll have people in this lifestyle over, nobody does anything, all we do is talk, all we do is visit, all we do is just bond together. The emotional comfort level, it's people that understand them, it's an emotional need more than a physical need sometimes.
Talk about you had come into this 20 years ago.
Yeah, 15, yeah.
That experience 15 years ago. Do you remember any earlier experiences, like when you were a child? You talk about this dominating nature of yourself.
Before I really understood what this lifestyle was about, I was let's see, I was 14 years old, and as I look back on it now, I had a 32-year-old female submissive, somebody that would do whatever I wanted to do. And I thought, hey, this is cool at 14 years old. And there have been other females I've been involved with, especially as a teenager, that the roles were very clearly defined. That I was the dominant one, that I was in charge. I always made the decisions. It was just the way it was supposed to be. It was just so comfortable and so natural.